Do I need a wedding planner or wedding coordinator? Hi, welcome back to Bride Society. I'm Rebecca, this is Laura, and we are addressing the issue of whether you should hire a wedding planner or a wedding coordinator for your big day. So in that, we're going to just basically cover what each of those roles actually entails, what they'll do, and the pros and cons of hiring them or not, basically. So whether or not you need or might find a wedding planner or wedding coordinator helpful depends on a lot of things. Your preferences, your budget that you've got, and maybe how complex the wedding is going to be. So there are wedding planners, wedding coordinators, but you might also find a situation where your venue, if you already have one, comes with a coordinator as well. So we can see where it all gets a bit confusing and a bit sticky. So with a venue kind of wedding coordinator, what they do will be slightly different to what we're calling a wedding coordinator and, again, a wedding planner. We'll kind of highlight the difference when we kind of come to really talk about coordinators. But in absolute summary, wedding planners are obviously more for the entire show. From early doors, starting planning, to the full execution. So therefore that's the big gig, to varying degrees, should you wish. The coordinator, in the way we mean it, the wedding coordinator that you might hire, is more focused for on the day. They show up and put out fires. And the venue coordinator is just really attached to the venue and will coordinate with suppliers and things. So what does a wedding planner do? What can you expect from them in terms of the services they provide and things like that? We're going to go into a bit more detail about that, so you're super clear on what you might need in your wedding planning journey. So wedding planner, you'll have an initial consultation with them. So this might be as soon as you've got engaged, you think, I need some help with my wedding planning. You find a wedding planner, you'll have a consultation with them to kind of discuss your vision, your needs, your preferences, your priorities, basically everything you see for your wedding and how that planner can help and support you achieve it, really. And I guess really clarifying how much of it you want them to take over, because it might not be everything, and they have different often levels, packages, don't they, and stuff. So that would all get laid out in that initial meeting too. They can obviously assist you with budget management. So you can ring in saying how much money you've got to put down on this thing, and obviously they have a great idea about how much the different aspects of weddings typically cost and where that money should be put, and help you know is this going to make this go over? Can I say here? That kind of thing. Dealing with just all that allocation of funds to catering, the venue, the entertainment, there's so many components, but obviously they have that knowledge to be able to help you manage that. Wedding planner will or can help recommend vendors and also then take over the management of any communication and booking of those vendors. So they can negotiate contracts with vendors with all their experience and expertise. They'll be able to recommend reputable suppliers for you, so you know that everyone who's working on your wedding will be trustworthy, will turn up on the day. Just help kind of coordinate communication between everybody, so that's taken off your plate. So they can also help you with the sort of design and theme look of your wedding. You might have some ideas or just some slight preferences or some strong ideas even, but obviously they're the people that can really help you pull the whole thing together, with all the different aspects. And obviously when you're involved in pulling in lots of when there's lots of different suppliers going on, it's really useful to have a kind of central person with that central vision about how making all that come together and look as one, it was intended. Wedding planner will help with the timeline and kind of schedule for the day, so they'll know how much time to allocate for certain events during the day and help put together a timeline for that day, as well as
liaising with your suppliers about the timings that they should come and set up, and making sure that all runs smoothly and seamlessly on the day as well.
So our next one, I guess not all planners might do this. It might be something that you have to have a conversation about, but sort of logistics coordination in the sense of like maybe dealing with like guest transportation, like if you're moving between ceremony and reception venues, sort of their accommodation even, and maybe more in a sense like if you're having maybe a hotel wedding and they would potentially be the responsible person for arranging like the block booking, the discount code, or that kind of thing for the block, or when those bookings need to be made by, or those kind of things. Potentially also things like seating charts, but obviously there would need to be a lot of consultation with you on that in terms of who knows who sits where. So again, they can do it, but there will be obviously, it's not a job you can just hand over in that sense, to be kind of aware of that. But they'll have invaluable advice for sure. Even also things like the RSVP tracking, like make sure that those have come in, who needs a reminder, that kind of thing. So yeah, not necessarily part of the service, but yeah, it is something some do offer. So depending if that's something you think you would want, bear in mind.
Your planner will also be there on the actual day itself, so for wedding day coordination. So if there's a venue coordinator at the venue already, they will talk to them, liaise with them to make sure everyone works well together. But the wedding planner will be there communicating with all the suppliers, making sure everyone's where they need to be at those times, managing the timeline on the day to make sure all the kind of main events get essentially, and then troubleshooting any issues that might arise without anybody needing to know about it.
Yeah. Yeah, and they'll be there to deal with any emergencies. I don't mean like people bleeding from the head necessarily, but just the sort of the unforeseen things that happen. Yeah, like a supplier doesn't show up, or like your mum left your veil in another venue or something, like they can not necessarily be the one that gets it, but the one they make sure that ends up on your head kind of thing. So yeah, they're like you said, troubleshooting, they're putting out the fires, so they will be that person running around.
Moving on to wedding coordinators. So a wedding coordinator will kind of swoop in at the end to help make everything run seamlessly, smoothly, and help with all the last minute bits. But you as a couple will have done the bulk of the wedding planning itself. So they're just there to support mainly on the wedding day itself, with a bit of kind of admin beforehand. But you have done all the decision making, you've kept track of all your own budgets, you've sourced everybody. It's just to take that pressure off on the wedding day itself.
Yeah. So whilst you can hire wedding coordinators literally to show up on the day and to just put out fires, basically, like to do that job of just be the emergency person. But typically, they have got that tiny little bit of legwork in the run-up. So you are paying them for more than just the day, because there's that handover period essentially where you're handing over all those details to the coordinator so they can finalise all the details. So that's basically contacting all your suppliers and making sure that about the times that they're showing up at the venue. And if there's a venue coordinator, I guess they could coordinate with them on that, but you typically wouldn't have both of those at this point, unless, as I say, you literally want somebody to do those extra bits that we talked about at the start of making sure that your hair's all right before you walk out and fluffing your train and all that kind of thing. Then you might want both, but it would be unusual, I would say.
Yes, probably. Yeah.
Yes. But yes, so they will deal with the schedules, make sure all your special requests are sorted, and just delivery schedule, all of the nitty gritty stuff that affects the actual running of the day.
And on the actual day itself, they will be there managing the setup. So if there's setting up the ceremony space is set up, the reception space, if there's particular like decorations and things on the table that need to put out. The wedding coordinator will be there to make sure everything's in the right place, everything's where it's supposed to be, all ready for you and your guests to enjoy.
They can be there for you during the ceremony, so being the person that's making sure that your bridal party are all stood in the right order to walk in, that I say that your dress is nicely laid out, your train, so all going all beautiful, or making sure that the music is cued correctly and someone actually presses play as you walk in. All of those kind of little details that, yeah, generally if you've not hired anyone, you kind of think, oh, who's going to do that? Who's going to press play? Who's going to, so there is definitely like a role here for a coordinator.
They will oversee the reception, so lots of different events happening throughout the reception, and they will manage the flow of events, so making sure you have your grand entrance, making sure everybody's sitting down ready and waiting for you, maybe kind of queuing toasts, cake cutting, things like that. So making sure all the planned activities happen.
And, well, as we've kind of alluded to throughout, for the problem solving, the go-to person, like an issue arises, much like if you had a wedding planner, that they would also do this on the day. But yeah, so it's that same role. It's the putting out fires. It's about minimising the stress on the two of you. So if a problem arises, they can deal with it, or sometimes as well, it's worth you appointing someone like maybe in your bridal party that's kind of close to you and knows you inside out and knows what you would want, how things should be actioned, that your coordinator can go to that person rather than if they have to bring something up, that they don't have to bother you as the couple. But obviously the idea is that all of those things that could go wrong where people would have to ask you and you might have to solve it, you now don't have to, or have very minimal involvement in the fixing, so you can just get on and enjoy your day.
Right, we've clarified what wedding planners and wedding coordinators can do for you. So what about these pros and cons? A major pro, and especially when it comes to hiring a wedding planner, is expertise and experience. So the wedding planner will probably have been planned loads of weddings, seen all sorts of themes, styles, what works, what doesn't work, so they can provide invaluable advice about kind of the best way to get the wedding that you want. They'll also have a wealth of contacts and know lots of different vendors and can kind of suggest and recommend reputable vendors who will work for you as a couple and match your kind of vibe. They'll know who will work well for you as well.
They can save you time, so you might be thinking maybe a good reason to hire these people is because you have really busy schedules. You still want a beautiful wedding and you want the whole thing to happen, but you just don't have the time to put into it yourself. And so also being able to hand over a lot of, to whatever degree, but a lot of the responsibility over to somebody else. They will still need your input and things, but it's that they can do all the legwork for you. So instead, for example, of you having to sit down and do a venue search and kind of go, oh, what fits with my vision? Do I like this one? How far away is that one? Oh, do we like that? What's the prices of that one? You then don't have to do that. Like in this instance, the wedding planner would do all that for you and bring you the results, right? Or their recommendation from their findings, right? So you're just like, yeah, no kind of input, which is obviously a lot faster than having to do all of that work. So yeah, if your schedules are hectic, that is a definite pro.
Stress reduction is a huge pro when it comes to both planners and coordinators. On the wedding day itself, for example, if there's nobody there, if you're the one having to do your own kind of coordination on the day as well as trying to enjoy your day, you're going to be the person that's come to with all these problems to solve, questions being asked, and you just don't need that on your wedding day. Let the planner, coordinator take that stress away from you, and allow you to enjoy the day as you should.
Yeah. And I know we talked before about them helping with budget management, but obviously that's a pro in itself. But the great thing is obviously because they'll have ongoing like relationships with suppliers, because obviously they're doing wedding after wedding after wedding. They'll have worked with the same similar people over and over again and develop relationships, and so we'll be able to get you the best deals from those people than perhaps if you were just to approach them yourself as an independent couple. So it's sort of saving money there, helping you fit and keep into that budget, and keep all the expenses under control as well, because they know how much X usually costs and how much Y usually costs and things, so they can really help you keep it under control. Yeah.
They can also have some creative input on the wedding. So if you're not really sure what kind of wedding or what kind of style you want your wedding to have, but you know you want a nice wedding, you want it to be amazing and beautiful, but you're not quite sure where to start with that, they can give suggestions. They've got all this experience, kind of, they'll have been to lots of different weddings. They'll know what works in certain types of venues. They'll know you as a couple, so kind of be able to get an idea of what might work for you. They can maybe suggest things that you might not have even thought of as part of the wedding. So if a particular venue has a space that would be perfect for like a specific type of activity, or like a telephone guest book, that's maybe not something you've ever seen at a wedding before, so you might not have thought of that, and then you think, oh yeah, I would actually love to have that as part of my wedding. So they can suggest things that you might not have initially thought of.
Yeah, or creative ways around things and that kind of, So moving more on to like why maybe these professions might not be for you. Obviously worth considering. It's just which comes out on top, isn't it? So cost. Whilst obviously we talked about budget management and that being a pro, and being able to sort of help get you the best deals and things, obviously you do have to pay these individuals, like whether it be the coordinator or the planner. Like they're providing a service, and obviously particularly with the planner, that's potentially a lot of work. So yeah, it's whether that's in the budget for you even to start off with. Again, bearing in mind there's obviously, like I say, different levels of packages that they'll be offering, and so actually, weighing up, do I need the whole thing for the money? Like I have limited money, like do I need the whole thing, but actually, or do I need them to kind of take over this aspect? Do I need them to do a venue search for me? Like if you have a lot of people who offer different things, but yeah, it might just come down to simply it's not in the budget. But as well, how much they cost will vary just based on like their level of experience as well. So it might be, if you get a good vibe to someone and you feel like you can trust them, but they're quite fresh, it might be the opportunity to give someone an opportunity to help build their career, and you can get the service for less, and they'll probably be trying really hard because they're trying to like prove something. So yeah, it's
something to consider. You might be the kind of person that really likes to have control over everything that happens, so giving away that control might be something difficult for you to kind of accept or make it an enjoyable experience if you haven't got control of everything that's going on. So that working with a planner might not then be the best for you. But as we've said, you can have different levels of service from a wedding planner, so it's not as though you have to hand over everything for the wedding in the hands of somebody else. You can still do parts of it. So there might be a compromise or a balance between still wanting the help because you've got a really busy schedule and haven't got the time to plan the wedding.
Yeah, so you're forced to relinquish control because of that.
Yeah. And also kind of keeping some of it so you feel as though you are the one in control and making all those key decisions.
Yeah. Or even just going into it eyes open, that like considering, just taking note of this, of like there is this maybe level of loss of control, but your busy schedule means that you're going to need to do it, and having your eyes open and kind of going, okay, like the pros here outweigh this kind of my desire for control, and weighing that up. And compatibility with them, like you need to vibe with them, basically. Very trendy way of putting it, but like you need to kind of have a good rapport, get along with them. you need to feel like they get you, your vision. Like if you feel like every time you're trying to communicate an idea to them and they're kind of like, when they reflect it back to you, they're not quite getting what you're saying and things like that's not going to work out. Like it's going to cause friction down the line. They'll do things that you're thinking that's not what I wanted to happen. So yeah, it's just, yeah, this compatibility, like causing misunderstandings. You don't want to show up on the day and, you know, there's an elephant and you wanted a giraffe. Like, you know, don't know why my brain went there, but, you know, so, and also if you are having them for the entire process, that's potentially quite a lot of time you're spending with this person. Yeah, so just checking, like, yeah, that they're on the same plane as you, really. And obviously, like, a bit of that you can probably glean from their website in terms of how they talk and their style that they present on their website. But obviously, yeah, having a conversation, and usually after an initial consultation, you're not committed in any way to that person. Like, you can move on. There are others. And actually, to be honest, like, they might also feel like they're not on it communicating like that well with you either. So if you decide after that initial consultation not to go with that, like, don't feel bad about it, because actually, like, for them, that's going to be a struggle too, right? Like, it's a relationship is two ways, and yeah, so yeah, bear that in mind.
The other thing about the compatibility and building a relationship with your planner or coordinator is also feeling as though you can trust that person. You are potentially giving over or giving responsibility for a lot of money to this person to kind of allocate to different parts of your wedding as the wedding planner, or just paying them themselves as a person. So you need to be able to trust that they themselves as a person will be there for you and turn up on the day and do everything that you're expecting them to do. So again, it's just kind of, although once you're working with someone, they'll be able to recommend reputable suppliers for you, you might just need to do a little bit of research beforehand, before employing anybody as part of your wedding, just to make sure that that is somebody that will follow through for you.
Kind of final kind of con, as it were, or just thing to consider in all of this is that whilst you're potentially handing over the wedding planning process to a wedding planner, it doesn't mean you are totally hands off. It also doesn't mean that they're available for you 24/7 if you want to be still very hands-on or struggling with this loss of control thing. So they will still have questions for you throughout. It might be that you have like discussions around when, like, you might have scheduled meetings with them where they feedback the information to you. It might be that their style is to kind of text you ad hoc or email you ad hoc when issues arise, to kind of keep balls rolling. So make sure you've had a conversation and know yourself in terms of how you feel able to manage your time, so you don't get overwhelmed. But yeah, it's not going to be possible to completely go hands off unless you genuinely don't care about how it is, and you're just very happy just to be like, I'm just going to rock up on the day. As long as my partner's there, I'm all good. Like, if you decide you trust their vision entirely, but there are going to be questions. So yes, they are there to reduce stress. They are there to take a lot of the work off your hands, but please bear that in mind. And as I say, they're not also going to be available 24/7. They have other clients. There's a lot going on for them and things. So you coming in every 5 seconds, asking another question, changing your mind about something, you know, again, relationships, two-way street, all that. But yeah, it's just weighing up what you can handle in that situation, because appreciate your wedding day is a massive thing. Like, it's a huge important day of your life. And if you're going to get into the level where you're considering hiring professionals to help with your wedding day, I guess you probably care about how it is to some degree, right? Like, you want it to be nice and like a great experience, understandably. Yeah, so there's a lot to weigh up there.
A lot to weigh up. But hopefully we've kind of helped articulate a few things you might not have thought about, a few kind of thing to consider that might not have immediately sprung to mind. If you are kind of debating what will work best for you, whether you want anybody at all, what kind of level, everything like that.
Yeah. Or even what the person is, because you kind of go coordinate, planner, venue hustle. Yeah, hopefully that's helped. Like, clarify a bit about if you do want someone, what that person is.
Yes. If you have any questions about planners, coordinators, venue coordinators, drop those in the comments below, and we will do our best to answer them. If you'd like to see more videos like this, give us a like. Don't forget to subscribe for lots more wedding content, and join us next week for a new video.